Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for stopping by the channel. I really appreciate you guys watching my content. I got really excited, and I must have missed this article because it was from June 6th, 2019. So I missed this one. It's labeled "Bigfoot was investigated by the FBI." Here's what they found. I got really excited when I saw this, and we're just gonna go through this article together, okay, guys? Um, in 2019, the FBI released its four-decade-old file on Bigfoot, including an analysis conducted on hair that allegedly belonged to the Sasquatch. The results? Also, real quick, guys, we're going to be doing a treasure hunt this summer as well again, and we're going to be doing that through Patreon. The Patreon will be free to join. I'll put the link in the description, as well as X.com. We're on X now as well. All right, so the article goes: legends of large ape-like beasts can be found all over the world. Since the 1950s, the U.S. version has been Bigfoot, a tall, hairy, human-like creature believed by some to dwell in forests of the American Northwest. Sightings and even pictures have emerged, prompting research and raising questions about whether the creature, also known as Sasquatch, was real. Since 1976, the FBI has had a file on him. So this is interesting. The government doesn't like to admit to these kinds of things, and I never knew that they actually had a file even on Bigfoot, at least publicly acknowledged one. So anyways, this is where the story goes. The FBI analyzes Bigfoot hairs. That year, Director Peter Bairn, I'm not sure how you say that, of the Bigfoot Information Center and exhibition in the Dallas, Oregon, sent the FBI about 15 hairs attached to a tiny piece of skin. Byrne wrote that his organization couldn't identify what kind of animal it came from, and it was hoping that the FBI might analyze it. He also wanted to know if the FBI had analyzed suspected Bigfoot hair before, and if so, what the Bureau's conclusion was. At the time, Byrne was one of the more prominent Bigfoot researchers, says Benjamin Radford, deputy editor of Skeptical Inquirer magazine. In 2019, a lot of people think of Bigfoot as being sort of silly and a joke, or whatever else. But in the 1970s, Bigfoot was really, really popular. That was when the $6 million man had a cameo by Bigfoot. When did Harry and the Hendersons and that stuff all come out? Wasn't it 70s, 80s ish? Maybe it was 90s. I don't remember. Anyway, so I guess it was kind of popular in culture back then as well. Um, this was also after Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin released their famous video footage in 1967, supposedly showing Bigfoot in Northern California. So yeah, this would have been really exciting just a few years, after that crazy footage got released. It's worth noting that the original evidence that launched the Bigfoot craze, a trail of oversized footprints discovered in the same region in 1958, was revealed to be a prank by logger Ray L. Wallace. In 2002, I guess that's in 2002. That's when that was discovered to be a prank. Many people believe that Bigfoot creature in the Patterson Gimlin film was a costume prankster as well. Byrne has always believed the footage is real. The FBI offers no confirmation of Bigfoot's existence. That's the headline, anyways. So let's get to it. Jay Cochran Jr., Assistant Director of the FBI Scientific and Technical Services Division, wrote back to Byrne that he couldn't find any evidence of the FBI analyzing suspected Bigfoot hair, and that the FBI usually only examined physical evidence related to criminal investigations. Still, it sometimes made exceptions, and in the interest of research and scientific inquiry, and uh, Cochran said he'd make such an exception for Byrne. There's a lot of spelling errors or grammar stuff in this thing, makes it hard to read. Unsurprisingly, Cochran found that the hair didn't belong to Bigfoot. In early 1977, he sent the hair back to Byrne along with the scientific conclusion the hairs are of deer family origin. 4 decades later, the Bureau declassified its Bigfoot file about this analysis. And to be clear, this is not evidence that the FBI endorsed the existence of Bigfoot any more than the U.S. military's decades-long investigation of unexplained aerial phenomena, particularly known as UFOs, is an endorsement of the existence of aliens. All it means is the FBI did a favor to a Bigfoot researcher. Radford says there's nothing wrong with that, but it shouldn't be mistaken for a de facto government endorsement of the reality of Bigfoot. Now, even though they found that it was deer hair, it is interesting just by the fact that by itself that they actually agreed to test this hair, right? Because the Bigfoot, whatever you want to say about conspiracy theories and all this sort of stuff, there's a lot of times where Bigfoot, I mean, especially with the UFOs and the Area 51, all the secrecy surrounding UFOs and aliens and stuff. Um, why would they want to test this to begin with if they didn't think that Bigfoot was at least real or possible? So what does the government know that we don't know, and why would they test these here hairs when the FBI does mostly criminal investigations, like I mentioned earlier? Even so, Bigfoot believers may be tempted to spin it that way. They love the idea that there's some smoking gun in the FBI files. See, look, Bigfoot must be real, otherwise the FBI wouldn't have taken it seriously. It continues. Well, the FBI didn't send out a team of investigators to look for Bigfoot. They agreed to run an analysis of 15 hairs. Yeah, but still, why run the analysis? Why spend, I mean, how much? I'm not sure how much money that costs the taxpayers and the government to run that analysis, but if they're not curious themselves, why run the test, right? To add more layers to what is already an unusual. I'm not saying that they're confirming that Bigfoot's real by doing this either. I'm not saying that it confirms it, because obviously it came back as deer hair, unless it didn't, and they just told the guy it was deer to cover it up. Who knows, right? To add more layers to what is already an unusual case, 93-year-old Byrne doesn't seem to remember receiving the FBI's response that the Bigfoot hair was actually deer hair. So who knows? Is he getting old and getting dementia, or is that really he just forgot, or did they really not send it to him? Who knows? Because Byrne has been out of the country for several months, Cochrane sent the letter to the executive president of the Academy of Applied Science, which was associated with Byrne's Bigfoot organization. Okay, that's the explanation, I guess, they're giving for why he didn't receive it. The executive wrote that he would give Byrne copies of the correspondence when he returned, yet when the FBI released his Bigfoot file, which was exclusively about Byrne's inquiry, on June 5th, 2019, Byrne reacted as though he were hearing that it was deer hair for the first time. Obviously, I can't speak for Peter Byrne, Radford says, but if you're going to make a big enough deal about this unknown specimen to give it to the FBI, then you're not going to want to publicize the fact that it turned out to be deer. True, but if you're an actual researcher and an actual truth finder, not a truth maker, you would release the truth, even if it's embarrassing to your what you think, at least eventually. So, anyways, what do you guys think about this? Does the fact that they tested it mean anything at all, or is it just they were nice and wanted to test the Bigfoot hair? Like, to me, that is not a smoking gun that Bigfoot's for sure real, but it means that the government thinks that there could be something out there, at the least out there. I wanted to figure it out as well. Anyway, guys, until next time, please subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching the video, watching the channel and everything. And check out that the Patreon and X.com. See you guys later.